I just want to set the world on fire.
In 1951, Little Brown and Company published the coming-of-age novel The Catcher in the Rye, written by J.D. Salinger, a novel that would go on to influence literature, film, music, and our everyday lives. The novel follows the story of Holden Caulfield, a pessimistic teen who can hardly find the good in anything. In the novel, he travels to New York City after being kicked out of prep school to unravel for a few days before having to return home. Holden's negative but brutally honest persona, the centerpiece of the novel, is what made it the classic it is today. Holden Caulfield is no longer just a character. He has become the template for almost every rebellious and defiant teenager in recent media. Films like Rushmore, Igby Goes Down, and Youth in Revolt all follow the story of a young teenage rebel who embarks on a journey in search of something that they think will in turn better their lives, whether it be happiness, infamy, or love. Although their stories may differ in the details, each one of these young men feels as if they live in a world where no one understands them. A world full of phonies, as Holden would have put it.
I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of.
Holden had become a messiah to those struggling to live in a socially dependent society, but the influence he had soon turned to obsession for some.
I left the hotel room, bought a copy of The Catcher in the Rye, signed it to Holden Caulfield from Holden Caulfield, and wrote underneath that, "This is my statement."
The former Beatle, who was 40, was hit by several bullets as he and his wife, Yoko Ono, were returning from a recording studio.
Hawaii native Mark David Chapman had become obsessed with the novel and was convinced that by killing John Lennon that he'd become Holden Caulfield.
Withdrew my Charter Arms 38 and fired 5 shots into his back.
Oddly enough, it was as if Mark David Chapman had misunderstood the message of the novel completely, much like Holden Caulfield had with the Robert Burns poem Coming Through the Rye.
And I was stunned. I didn't know what to do. I took The Catcher in the Rye out of my pocket. I paced, I tried to read it.
Chapman wasn't the only person driven to kill by the novel. The would-be assassin of Ronald Reagan, John Hinckley Jr., stated that Catcher in the Rye was his favorite book. And Robert John Bardo, the killer of actress Rebecca Schaeffer, was found carrying a copy of the book after the shooting. The Catcher in the Rye has been read in classrooms for decades now, thus making the impact it's had on culture immeasurable to us. The influence of the novel may have been at the core of countless works of art and historic decisions. We'll all just never know for sure.